Up this tweet as well that we have from our friend to the show, Meghann Cuniff. This is about the new Diddy indictment, saying that there are no new victims or charges, and he still doesn't have any co-defendants, but prosecutors say that the superseding indictment against Sean Diddy Combs includes new allegations related to forced labor. So what we do know is that the U.S. Attorney's Office there of the Southern District on Thursday submitted that new court filing that leveled one new allegation against Combs to add to his racketeering and sex crime charges that he's already facing and has pleaded not guilty to. Within this second superseding indictment, it updates the amended indictment back from January that added 3 unnamed women who were allegedly victims of his so-called sex trafficking enterprise. They say that Combs subjected those employees to forced labor under inhumane circumstances. To help us just to break this down and understand a bit more about what's happening there with this case, I want to bring in, again, legal affairs journalist Meghann Cuniff. Meghann, thanks so much for being with us here on Live Now from Fox. Let's talk about it. We've been following this case, of course, since those raids happened last year, leading up to his trial date that's set to start on May 5th. Let's talk about the new allegations.
Yes, I mean, this really looks like the May trial date is on. I think a lot of people early on were expecting him to get co-defendants, perhaps more charges, but I think people were really focused on whether there would be more people indicted here and he would have co-conspirators who could possibly testify against him in trial. That hasn't happened, and it looks like it's not going to happen. And it looks like the May trial date is a go. So this is prosecutors getting totally ready for that. And we've already seen a change in defense counsel. He lost one of his defense attorneys, not his main counsel, but one of the defense attorney's concerns, people have said, is that he thought that they needed more time to prepare for trial. But his existing counsel apparently doesn't think so. So they're ready to go. There is actually a motion to dismiss that's pending right now for the third charge involving transportation for means of prostitution. And it actually relates to Diddy's use of escorts, and the dismissal motion is saying that this is an unprecedented use of that, and that the law actually is rooted in racism and has roots in slavery. And they're making the point that Diddy is being prosecuted really in an unprecedented fashion under this. So that's currently being litigated. The U.S. Attorney's Office is opposing that, and there's a reply motion coming in soon from Diddy's attorneys. I'm not sure. There's a good chance that the charge will actually be dismissed. And it's important to keep in mind that if it is, there are still 2 other charges to contend with, the racketeering for sure. So there's a lot that remains to be seen, but it does look like we are set for trial in May.
And that's going to be a huge thing that so many people are focused on. Let's talk about that trial just a little bit more. Set for May 5th. We know that Diddy is a celebrity. I mean, he's one of the biggest faces in pop culture and entertainment overall. It's going to be a jury selection process. And we've talked about this several different times with other cases, even the last one that we talked about with A$AP Rocky. What are your thoughts on how that process is going to get underway? How difficult is it going to be for that jury selection process when there is a person there in the room of such high profile?
I think there's been so much attention on this case, and then not only this case, but all the lawsuits against Diddy over the past few months, that it could be difficult to find a group of people that really makes the defense happy. And of course, the prosecutors are going to be emphasizing that it's not that people can't just have never heard of the case before. And I think it's unlikely that they could find people who have never heard of Diddy or never heard of the case, all 12 people or 15 people, including alternates. But the important thing is, can they find people who have heard about this but believe that they can be fair? And there's going to be all sorts of different things that both sides are looking for. But I think this case for sure will be a big test of the power of celebrity and what that could mean for a jury pool, for sure.
And it is he's one of the highest profile people, as we were just talking about. I mean, it's been interesting to see the response online. I just remember when it first came out that he was being indicted, when the house was raided, even Cassie's bombshell allegations that came out. It's been a long lead up to this point, so it'll be interesting to see how things start to play out. And you also mentioned his defense counsel switching up. It's interesting to see this as we're getting in the last few months heading into trial. I want to put up this that you also put there on that statement officially from his lawyer saying that he denies, this is a different statement. I'm looking for the one where he's talking about him leaving the legal team as well. But in the meantime, I wanted to ask you about that. We were talking about the changes to his defense. The New York City attorney, Tony RICO, is officially out as his lawyer. You said it was because he didn't feel he had enough time to prepare. Can you sort of go into a little bit more about that? And how common is it at this point, late in the game, to change up some of your defense?
There's been reports about various reasons that he withdrew. One being he did think that they needed more time to prepare, but I think there's also a lot of different views on case strategy and that thing. And really, I think it's important to remember that these are lawyers who are used to being the star of the show, including Mark Agnifilo, whose statement we just saw. So there could be some kind of behind the scenes, ego clashing going on with that. So, but I think it's important to know that the main counsel who's been with them this entire time is still on the case and moving forward. So.
Do we know what his main strategy is heading into these last few months? Is there anything else that they're able to, do you think, pull out of the bag there in the courtroom that might help this case? Because there's a lot of evidence as so far on the government side, as they're saying, to pin him to these charges.
Yeah, I think what we're really looking at here is a defense that's based on this being consensual. At least that's what we've heard with the first victim, who we know to be Cassie. The prosecutors are under an order to identify the other two victims under an attorney eyes only disclosure this week. So I think the consensual defense is going to be one that we're going to see pushed here, but it's hard to say without seeing really more of the evidence. We in federal court, we haven't had a preliminary hearing or anything like that kind of previews what they have. So it kind of remains to be seen, but it seems like his attorneys are full speed ahead getting ready here.
And it is going to be something that we're going to continue to watch here on Live Now from Fox. I do want to step away from this discussion just for a second. We also heard your name. It was mentioned as well in Tory Lanez's new song. I think we have a post as well that we can kind of put up about it. But Meghann, you've done a fantastic job over the years covering some of these high-profile cases. And now, as you can see there on your screen, he mentioned you in not such a nice way in his new song, My Shayla. I got to ask you, though, what was your response to seeing this, and how have you been sort of responding to the newfound fame of being mentioned in a rap song?
So, well, here we go. People have been asking me over the years, wait until you get mentioned in a rap song, and now people are encouraging me, oh, you need to come back with your own rap song diss. I don't think I have the skills to do that, but it's fun to see the internet kind of play out and take it away. They can kind of do their own thing with it, and I can kind of just sit back and watch. So that's kind of the fun of it.
Well, I think you're taking it very well. Again, legal affairs journalist Meghann Cuniff here to help us break down some of these headlines as it pertains to the Sean Diddy Combs case. Of course, it's going to be more things to come out in the next days and weeks leading up to the trial. Meghann, I hope you'll come back on with us and help us to understand those changes as they lead up.
Thanks so much.
All right, we did want to bring that to you here on Live Now.